Hello and welcome to the Alexandra Wenman show. I'm so excited to introduce you to my guest, Chloe Isidora. Chloe, thank you so much for being with me today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. We are obviously creating a bit of magic here today. Chloe just went to do a little prayer to open the space, and both of us got Mary Magdalene energy very, very strong. And obviously the two of us are quite involved in the energy of the goddess and the divine feminine. So can you tell us a little bit about how you came to work in this area? What drew you into this line of work?
So I think the initial reason why I started working in this was really about self-love and self-empowerment. And way back when I used to work in the fashion industry, that was the biggest thing that I was struggling with, was like feeling my worth, was feeling that I was good enough. And those were the things that were always holding me back. So I think that's why I was so intrigued by this work, because I was like, wow, this is what I've been looking for. This is like the missing link, and this is the parts of myself that I really need to focus on. So it was all about self-love.
That's gorgeous. And how did you first kind of stumble across this kind of work?
Well, I at the time, like when I very, very first started, I was just so unhappy. Like I was really, 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 really miserable. And I felt like that I was just like walking around with this little dark cloud on my head the whole time. And I'd been seeing a shamanic practitioner, and she told me, actually the very first thing that I did was the Hoffman Process.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I remember when I did that, I thought that these people were completely mad. I'd never done any kind of meditation before. I'd never done any visualization or anything. And the processes were really, really, really intense, and I was just like, I'm mad.
I've never done the Hoffman Process.
It's really, really amazing. But imagine like that I was completely closed, like nothing. You know, I didn't have any awareness about any of this, so I really, thought it was all really strange. But anyway, at the end of that week, I had this experience where, like, it felt to me like that my heart cracked open, and I felt all of this like light really like coming into my body, and like my blood was buzzing for days afterwards. And really that was like my first experience in like feeling like, oh, something else is there. And then from then on I just carried on like trying to find things that interested me. And the woman that I was seeing, the shamanic practitioner, she told me about the Four Winds Society, and I literally just booked on there as soon as she told me about it. And then I finished my, it was like the last fashion season that I was doing, and I'd been to like New York, I'd been to Milan, Paris, and all of that. And then at the end,
what was your role? You were a stylist, is that right?
Yeah, I was a
So
stylist,
you must have got to travel loads of different places.
Yes, I travelled loads of places. And then at the end of this fashion month, I was like, okay, this is my last one. And then I thought, no, I have a really good job. It won't be my last. And then I went to America, did the shamanic course, and it was called the South, and it was all about the energy of the serpent. So you're shedding your skin, you're like learning what your core wounds are and all of this, and
just a little bit of light healing.
It was so intense, and I literally spent the whole entire week just crying my eyes out, and everyone was like really advanced, and they were like, did you see that energy? Did you feel that? And I was like, nothing, like totally nothing.
Just like, I'm just in my crap.
I just was like crying and crying. Anyway, and then at the end, Alberto, our teacher, he says to the whole class, don't be surprised if your life changes. And the second I got back to London, my boyfriend broke up with me that night, and then the next day I went to work and I got fired from my job. So it was all it was like a complete wipeout. Yeah.
Wow. So, and then how did you pick yourself up from that? Like, what were your next steps?
Yeah, the next steps were, so I had a choice. So I was like, okay, I could get another job in fashion, or I could just go down this path, and like this really excites me, and I feel like, it was like there was I was totally intrigued, and I'd met this incredible woman on my course, and she called me up and she was like, I was just feeling you, how are you? And I was like, wow, this is happening. And she's like, are you coming to San Francisco? And I was like, yes, I'm coming. And then and I did a course with her, and then she offered me an apprenticeship. And so I stayed with her for pretty much 4 months. And again, I had done, I really hadn't done any spiritual work. So she was like my first proper teacher, and every day it would be like up, and it would be like 4 hours of spiritual practice, like chanting, meditation, journaling, and I was like, oh. And she did a lot of the crystal skull work, so I was doing crystalline consciousness there.
Oh, amazing.
And yes, that was incredible. And then ever since, it's just been just one to the next, and then I just never went back to fashion.
And when did you start stepping out and teaching and running your own courses?
I think that was in 2015 or 16. I get so confused with dates. But I left the fashion industry in 2013. 2013.
Wow. So it's just after that 2012 moment. That there's so many people that have gone through these huge, big shifts since then. So yeah, my life was collapsing around about the same time as yours, I think. We probably felt each other on some plane. So tell us a little bit about what you do offer, because I know that you do a lot of womb work and stuff like that.
Yeah, so at the moment I offer workshops for women, which is all about connecting to the womb, and a lot of it is like, it's really like guiding you back to your womb space to receive your own information, to receive your own wisdom, intuition, and really connect to this part of yourself that we just haven't been taught to connect to throughout our whole lives, and the first time we bleed, and it's really about like learning how to work with your menstrual cycle and the power of your menstrual cycle, which I just find so fascinating. And
it's very magical, isn't it? I think
so
this
magical.
Whole old paradigm idea that there's something dirty or unclean about it, I find really like it's time for that to end, and it's time for us to reclaim that power, because
definitely. And it's so powerful. Like, I've been working with my blood now for probably around like maybe 2 years, and one of the beautiful things you can do is like manifestation around the time when you're bleeding. And
as we're filming this, it's a new moon, right?
It's a new moon.
It is, as we're filming this, so it's very timely.
And for me, like when I was really learning about the phases of the menstrual cycle, that I was just like, I can't believe I haven't known this forever, and I really struggled with knowing like I would find there would be days where I was super, super, super productive, and then there would be times when I was completely blown out and I just couldn't do anything. And now, like working with my cycle, I'm like, oh, okay, I can really see, like, let's say I'm ovulating, like that's the time when I'm like really out in the world, and like I want to connect with people, and I feel like that I can do everything. And then there's the next phase, which is like your kind of inner autumn phase, which is when your whole world like falls apart and you feel like, oh my God, who am I? What am I doing with my life?
Give me the chocolate.
Yeah, totally. And knowing that this is a phase now every time. Like before, I was always in that, and I was thinking, oh, what am I doing with my life? And now I'm like, oh, okay, I know where I am in my menstrual cycle, and I have like the tools to look after myself. I have like knowing that it's like that really needing to amp up my self-care and self-love, and knowing that, rather than just feeling like, oh, I'm in this weird place, why do I feel like this again?
And then there's the thing about the actual blood as well, isn't it? Because it's so full of nutrients and stem cells and things like that. I know that the Australian Aborigines would use it as a salve. They would actually heal wounds with it. They would collect it and use it to heal injuries and things. So
it's so interesting you said that, because that's the exact guidance that I got. So what I was doing is I mean, I save my blood every cycle, but the other day
I do too. Are we weird?
I don't think so.
I do think more and more women are doing this. Since the moon cup came in, I think that it's. I love that it's shaped like a chalice as well. I think that is really kind of pointed. But yeah, sorry. Tell us about what you do.
Okay, so what I do is I save my blood, and I put it in a jar, and like usually keep it in the fridge so it doesn't smell. And then I really like take time to connect with my blood. So And often I'll find a place in nature, and if I'm not in nature, maybe I'll like find a plant in the house. And first of all, like I'm really tuning into what's happened this month. Like, what am I ready to let go of? What are the things that have come up that I'm ready to recycle back to the earth? And I like this feeling of like recycling. So it's not like that we're like having like this really like letting go of things. It's like okay, I can give that back, and it can be returned as something new. So first of all, like that's the thing that I focus on, is like, all right, so what's come up, what am I ready to sort of see and transform? And then I'll really tune into, okay, what are the things that I really want to call into my life? Like, what am I working on at the moment? What are the things that maybe I need a little bit of extra help with, or and often like the manifestations I do sort of ones that are like spiritual ones, and then ones that are like more like 3D physical ones.
What do I
and
need?
then like affairs of the heart ones.
I love it.
And then I take this time and I do a few different things. So this is one of the things that I do. And let's say I'm in nature, and then I'll open up sacred space, like call on the earth and the elements, my guides, and do my prayers, my offerings, and then I'm offering my blood back to the earth. And in that way, and this is what I really like to think about it, is that I'm nourishing her with my blood. Like she's giving to me so much every single day as I walk upon her. She's giving me her energy, and that this is an opportunity for me to give back to her. And then as I do that, I'm connecting my womb to her womb, and her womb is connected to all women's wombs. And then you really have this sort of feeling of, oh wow, we are all really connected. So that's like one of the things that I do, which is really beautiful. And then another thing that I love is so yeah, you have to have a few pots of blood here, so you've got to save them.
Do a collection.
Is painting with it. And again, like I'll take time, like tend to be alone in the house and set up sacred space, you know, have my candles and everything, maybe put on some beautiful music, and then I just paint, and I just allow the paintbrush to move. I have no intention of what I'm going to paint beforehand, and I just let it kind of wiggle out, and then this beautiful picture appears. And I'm always like, how did that even happen? And I did that for quite a few months in a row, and it was like, the first, it was almost like this man's head, and then the next one, it was the same man, but like with these different things, and I was so shocked because I wasn't intending to draw that. It was only came out as squiggles. So that was really, really beautiful. And then the other thing that I do is paint myself with my blood. So I might like,
you should do your war paint.
Yeah, totally. And if I have like little ailments, like I had achy wrists, so I'd just like paint the blood on my wrist. And then just like place a little dot on my third eye and meditate. And really, the menstrual meditations, they're so strong. They just bring you inwards, like in such a different way, and you're like really, really, really strong. And the other thing I really do is take massive time to rest and open to receive like wants to come through during that time. And before, I really wasn't resting. Oh,
especially in the other career, right? It's go.
Yeah.
And those old corporate paradigms, they don't leave space for rest. They don't, you know, they expect women to work like men, and we are very different. In that way.
Yeah. And there is one other thing that
I want to know it all.
This is and this one is a bit weird. So when I told everyone in a workshop, there was lots of silence. But I just eat a little bit, and I don't like have like a massive shot of my own blood. I think that would actually be just a bit too much. But just like I just dab a little bit and just eat a little bit and just again like feel the energy of my blood. And again, it's just
I don't think that's
powerful.
Weird. I've done it before, where I've made like a little elixir with like sacred water and sacred oil, like the very pure oils, and done it that way, like just a little in a nice chalice, in an honouring, beautiful. Just a little something, like a tiny bit, just for that magical element of it.
Yeah,
We're proper witchies, aren't
yep.
we?
And then I also offer my blood at sacred sites too. And I tend to, it's really interesting, whenever I travel in the world, I'm always bleeding.
Wow.
And so then I'm always offering my blood in different places in the
around the
world.
world. Wow. It's interesting because that ties in with something that a lot of light workers are doing. I've noticed that a lot of us are sort of being guided to different places around the world and different sacred sites with our own particular gifts to share with the earth in that place, or our own particular way of sort of opening up the magic or the energy or healing that space. So I'm wondering if that's your particular little gift that you're taking around the world. Like, I know that with my Precious Wisdom system, I'm asked to go and anchor my symbols in different places around the world.
Amazing.
And I think we are healing the earth. And I know other people that sort of know how to open and close portals and things like that. Have been other people are going around with, you know, song and chanting. And so many of us now. And it's like, well, we're, you know, citizens of the earth, right? It's really
so mine's just like blood offerings.
Like, here you go.
I love it. Love it.
I love it. I've peed around the world in different well, when you gotta go, you gotta go. Oh, I love it. I think it is, and you know, obviously for those of you watching, some of this might, you know, be a bit odd to you, but the whole point of these conversations is to normalize the conversation about these practices, because we are sacred, our bodies are sacred vessels, and if we start to honor every part of that and get back into these, you know, as women, we're cyclical beings where we move with the rhythms and the cycles of nature. And one of the things I've seen since kind of offering my blood back to the earth, I kind of don't tend to necessarily ask for things for me on a personal level. I used to, but I sort of feel now when I do that, I just offer it for the goddess.
Yeah.
For the balance of masculine and feminine, and for the highest good that needs to kind of come of it. I think I sort of just like let go of trying to attach to anything, and then if there is something I want, I might, you know, at some point say, if this is for my highest good. A bit like you, but I don't think that I've done that for a while. But even in that offering it back to the earth, I've noticed huge changes, and I haven't been doing it as long as you, but I have noticed huge changes. Just like I've noticed I've got more energy and vitality where I was feeling very tired before, and it does really feel like you're replenishing your womb. You are. You're just standing on the grass, doing a blessing, doing an offering, give it back to the mother, and then she gives back to you. Yeah. It makes you really much more aware of all of nature as well, and everything that's going on around us.
So
beautiful.
I love it. I love it.
Sacred women's witchy business. I love it. And you also do, I came along to one of your workshops, which was the rite of the womb, which I loved. That was so beautiful. And I've since given it to a few friends, and it's just such a lovely honouring thing to do. Can you tell us a little bit about the rite of the womb and how it started?
So my teacher is a woman called Marcela Lubas, and she is Alberto Villoldo's wife, who runs the Four Winds Society, and she was gifted this rite in a ceremony which I actually was involved in as well. And then I think about a year later, then she offered the rite to us, and it just happened to be that I was there. And it's so interesting, isn't it, that it just happened to me that I was with her in Peru when it came through, and then it happened to be that I was with her in Omega when she was giving this rite. And so what it is that this rite has come through to relieve women from suffering. And as women, we store a lot of fear and pain in our womb space, and it's again not something that we know about. It's not something that we even really think about, but it's that, you know, when you go into fear and you go into, it's like, we clench our tummies, and it's like oh, we're just holding so much there, and from this lifetime, from other lifetimes, and as we're connecting to our wombs, it's like, again, we don't really think about like clearing our womb space. But for example, you wouldn't like not brush your teeth morning and night. It's just such an, you know, something just very natural. And again, that's sort of like with our wombs, it's like, oh, there's things that we collect, and then it's to clear that, like let that go, and then, you know, draw earthly energy back in again. And so the rite of the womb, it was just so powerful. And the very first time I received it, my whole womb was just vibrating like crazy, and I was like, whoa, something is happening here. It's really strong. And then the next day I started bleeding, and I wasn't due. And the blood was dark, like it was really, really, really dark. And what's so beautiful about this rite is that it works on our wombs, but it works on our mothers, our grandmothers, all the way through the ancestry, and then into our children and children's children. And I've actually had people in sessions that said that their mother had a dream the same night that she received the rite, and her sister also then started bleeding. So it really, spreads out, and then it also goes into Mother Earth's sacred waters as well. Yeah. So it has a whole ripple-on effect, and at the same time as healing our wombs, it's also opening our creativity as well. And when I first received the rite, my creativity was very, very stuck. Like I wasn't really so much even in my body, I don't think. And from doing this womb work, I noticed that I'm more and more and more and more and more in, and I noticed the areas where I'm stuck, and I listen to her more now, as well. But I have learnt something fascinating of the last. I mean, this only just came through maybe 2 weeks ago, which I'm really intrigued to know what you think about this as well. I was recently in a relationship, and I was thinking feeling that my womb was very happy about this, but actually it was just my sexual energy was very activated and very really was like yes to this. But actually, when I checked in, my womb was not happy at all. And I had been thinking that my womb and my sexual energy were the same, but they're actually not. No. They're almost like two different entities, and two like the womb. She was almost like she showed me as herself as like this crone, this very ancient energy, and then my sexual energy was almost like this kind of like enchantress,
like a siren.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God. So it was just so fascinating for me, because again, that's not something that I knew, or not something that I had been taught. I had rolled them all into the same thing,
Very different consciousnesses. Yeah, it makes sense.
Totally, yeah. And so just from doing the womb work, it's really about plugging into yourself, like receiving your own messages, your own wisdom, your own intuition. And what I really, really love about the womb work is that it's not me telling you anything, it's you
tapping into your own. Yeah.
And for me, that's true empowerment, like when you receive your own inner messages, and that's why I love the womb work. Yeah.
So the other thing that I wanted to talk to you a little bit about is your writing, because I noticed, I think it was on Instagram last night, that you'd put up a post about doing some writing. So are you writing a book at the moment? Or?
Yes, I'm writing a book which is on sacred self-care, and it's actually a really funny story how it came about. I just said out loud, I think I'd like to write a book. And then the next day I received an email titled Literary Agent, and it was like, hi, would you like to write a book? And I was like, oh my God, that was so fast. Like, it took a day. And I didn't even mean for that to happen. Like, it just happened. And then I got approached by another literary agent who was like, I want to represent you. And I was like, oh my God, okay.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden I had a proposal together, and then all of a sudden I had a publishing deal. And it was really interesting to me because, and also comical, because writing is like the biggest challenge for me. And I'm severely dyslexic. I probably still have like the spelling age of a 10-year-old, and it's really takes me a long time to be able to get into doing this. So,
but how amazing that you're doing it, that you're actually in there facing it and doing it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's definitely a process, and I just have to be so gentle with myself, and I'm just I know, as I was saying last night, I was just noticing like all of the places where I'm still giving myself a hard time, and one of the things that as I was growing up that was something that was embedded in me was like this feeling of being stupid and lazy, and it's back to that, really it's just back to the core wound of like not feeling good enough. And so with this writing, I get to see all of that all over again.
All comes up again.
All comes up over again. And so it's all inner child stuff. And so I really have to tend to that like really delicate place inside of me and just like coax her out and like love her through it and tell her that it's safe and that this can be fun. This is not, we're not at school anymore. We're not, you know, it's also like reframing work as well, I think. And because, you know, like self-love and self-care is the thing that I have struggled with the most. Like that's what the book's about, because I think like those are the things that I've had to really learn about.
It's so important as well. I think not enough people do take the time out for self-love and self-care, and we, you know, especially women, you know, there's this idea that we're here to give and to serve and to be there for everybody else, and I know many an empath watching this will be familiar to you, so it's really inspiring that you are writing this book. Are we allowed to know details, like who it's being published with or anything yet? Or
I mean, I don't know, they didn't say that I couldn't do anything. So it's being published by Octopus.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, and it's going to be filled with ritual ceremonies, meditations. It's all like super practical. So it will be like a little story of maybe why you do something, and then like a how-to. And so everything's like very, very accessible, and it's about like weaving the magic and miracles throughout your daily life. So even just the simple act of like washing your hands, like whenever I wash my hands, I always wash my hands in golden liquid light, and it's just something that's just ingrained in me now. And so just like little tiny things like that so every time, you know, you go to the loo, you're calling magic in. Every time you eat, like blessing your food. Every time you drink water, blessing your water, and so that it doesn't have to be like I need to sit down and do a whole ceremony, and you know, it can be throughout your day and every moment. So there's lots of little things, and then there's bigger things.
Yeah. It's like the power of intention is incredible, really, isn't it? We don't really realize how powerful we are, but with that focused attention and intention, you know, especially when your intention is through love. So if it's like something for you, but then you ask for the good of the all to come through that as well, you just get double the treasure in return, don't you? It's amazing. So Chloe, how can people find you, and do you do one-on-one sessions as well, don't you?
So I offer the group sessions, and then I do one-on-one, and I also actually work in a fertility clinic as well.
Wow.
And I do the womb work there, and then I also hold baby loss honouring circles too. And yep, so you can find me via my website, which is chloeisidora.com.
And you're on Instagram and Facebook as well, right?
And Facebook.
Fantastic. Chloe, thank you so much for talking to me today.
Thank you.
Thank you all for watching. I'll share all the links below to Chloe's websites and everything. And I'd love to hear your feedback on this interview. If there are any topics or authors or people that you'd like me to interview, please get in touch. And thank you for watching the Alexandra Wenman Show.
Thank you.